Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to the California High School Equivalency and Proficiency Updates February 2023 webinar presentation from the California Department of Education. My name is Bernie Holman, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the second webinar of our three-part series. Welcome, and thank you for watching our recorded video of the February 15, 2023 Equivalency and Proficiency Update webinar. If you haven't already pulled up the accompanying note-taking guide, you can find it next to the web link that you found this video link on the CDE webpage. The goal of this webinar series is to allow for frequent and timely dissemination of updated information and to provide an opportunity to ask questions of CDE and to share best practices. February is Black History Month, and so a powerful quote by Nat Turner, who said, "Good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity." Great quote to remember. Topics for today, we'll be discussing proficiency exam remaining test dates, the future of the proficiency exam, provided by Geeta Raman, best practices for reporting and submitting data to Comprehensive Adult Student Assessment System, better known as CASAS, TOPS Pro Enterprise, provided by Nicole Clark, and HiSET updates, provided by Tanya Haug. We'll also be having some information on the State Board of Education regulations and giving you an update for that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Geeta Raman to speak on the proficiency examination update.
Hello, everybody. My name is Geeta Raman. I oversee the California High School Proficiency Exam, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys some updates on the program. And I'm also going to be sharing what the future looks like for the proficiency exam. Okay, so the last CHSP offering before we transition is going to be this summer testing window. The testing window is from June 13th through the 18th. Registration will open April 18th and run through May 26th, and the results will be mailed to our students by July 31st. So, as I mentioned earlier, there will be a transition for the CHSP, and I'll shift into now referring to it as the proficiency exam. So, students currently enrolled in their second semester of sophomore year in high school may choose to take the exam to measure their proficiency in English language arts and mathematics at the College and Career Readiness Standards. That will be one of the main implements. That will be one of the main changes, is that the standards will be a little bit higher for the proficiency exam. And the next one is that students who pass the proficiency exam and exit high school may, regardless of their age, take the remaining equivalency subtests, which are science and social studies, to obtain their high school equivalency certificate, which will open even more doors for our students. The current exam that we use for the CHSP is the SAT-10, which is no longer an efficient measurement for college and career readiness standards, nor does it align with our Common Core standards. So the CDE is partnering with the HSC vendors to utilize their mathematics and English language arts subtests to offer the proficiency exam. Through this partnership, the proficiency exam will now be offered online, from home, or in person by using the GED and HiSET testing portals. This partnership allows the proficiency exam to act as a stepping stone for students interested in obtaining their high school equivalency certificate. Once the student passes the proficiency exam, they're eligible to take the equivalency exam no matter their age, opening even more doors than the CHSP alone. And that is because the CHSP is recognized in California, but the HSC certificate that is granted upon passing is recognized across the state, across the country, and globally. Okay, so again, there will be two delivery methods for the future of the proficiency exam. The first would be paper-based, in-person only, through paper and pencil, and that would be at a testing site. Or you could take the test through the computer, and you can go on site and use the computer there at the testing site, or you may use the computer at home as long as you have a secure room, and it will be done through live proctoring. Okay, for more information on the proficiency exam and the transition, please visit our CDE CHESP webpage or contact our CHESP office by email or phone using the information in your note-taking guides. This concludes the proficiency updates, and I'm going to pass it on to Nicole for some updates on CASAS.
Thank you, Gita. Hello, my name is Nicole Clark, Senior Data Analyst here at the Comprehensive Adult Assessment Systems, better known as CASAS. For these next few slides, I'll be sharing information on best practices for data reporting in TOPS Pro Enterprise. For those of you who are familiar with TOPS Pro Enterprise, we call it TE for short, and I'll refer to it as TE for my slides. TOPS Pro Enterprise is a system that is used by test prep centers throughout California who are funded by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or WIOA, Title II AEFLA, and the California Adult Education Program, better known as CAPE. If this sounds unfamiliar to you, don't worry. Test prep centers are not expected to know, our test center staff, are not expected to know or be familiar with TOPS Pro Enterprise. First, it's important to know what basic demographic information is required in TE. In TE, under Select Records, Students, Demographics, ensure that the following fields are accurate and complete for each student. That's first name and last name, gender, date of birth, their GED or HiSET test taker account number, and then Social Security number if available. Now, the GED or HiSET ID must be entered in the same format as issued by GED or HiSET. At the end of each program year, CDE conducts a data match to verify the HSE outcomes and confirm the actual number of passers. CDE will use the demographic information on this slide to do the match. If you need a screenshot will be available on the note-taking guide for reference. Now, once a student has passed either their GED or HiSET, you will need to use the student's update record form to update their outcomes in TE. To do so, you'll mark past GED or past HiSET in the student's update record under personal status and results. If your agency is using update records in TE, a screenshot of where to mark this in the student's update record can be found in the note-taking guide. Now, over the next couple slides, I will describe how to use the Data Integrity Report, better known as the DIR, and then the Payment Points Data Flags Report in TE to review and verify students' information. With this slide, I'll explain how to generate the Data Integrity Report, DIR, in TE, and a screenshot of the sample DIR will be in your note-taking guide. We recommend to use the National Reporting System, NRS, DIR, to verify student-level data. To generate this report in TE, go to Reports on the menu, then select Data Management, and then you'll select National Reporting System, NRS, Data Integrity. The NRS DIR will identify the number and the percentage of students that fall under each item, and it will verify these numbers look accurate and complete for your agency. Now, DIR items number 1 through 5 will summarize your students' demographics and basic requirements such as program enrollment and even 12 hours of instruction. Further down the data integrity report, you have items 12, which is pass HSE, and item 13, which is earned high school diploma, and you can check those for any inconsistencies. Now, if this number of students do not match, you can always drill down on that item to see which students are missing from your data integrity report. Screenshots, again, can be found in the guide. For those who are not required to enter data in TEE, hang in there. We have a couple more slides that will focus on the WIOA Title II agencies and then the CAPE funded agencies. In addition to the NRS DIR, WIOA Title II agencies will have Section G of the TE Payment Points Data Flags report. And here you can verify detailed information on HSE. To generate your payment points data flags report in TE, you'll access the reports menu, then select state reports, California, and then you'll select payment points. Under the left report view navigator, you'll find the payment points data flags. Now, after running this report, you'll notice Section G has flag information such as item counts of GED or HiSET test taker ID numbers, the number of students that passed HSE, but they're missing those IDs, and then also the number of IDs entered, but maybe it's in an incorrect format. There will be an additional payment points data flags training on March 13th, 2023. And for a link to this training, you can refer to your note-taking guide. Now, these next couple of slides, I will address 3 basic HSE basic implementation tips. Tip number 1, and this is for those who are authorized GED or HiSET test centers. You can verify the GED or HiSET ID and monitor student exam progress via the GED or HiSET website. Links to those test centers will be in the guide. Tip number 2. These are for agencies who are not authorized test centers, test prep centers only. You should develop a system to obtain the GED or HiSET ID from the student, and then query those students about when they plan on taking the exam or when to follow up with them that they've passed. We recommend that when a student asks for prep courses or help, get their account number up front. Now, our last tip, and this tip can be a little tricky, but this tip will help you or in your agency match the most passers for your program. Now, if you are unsure whether a student has passed, assume the best for the student and mark that they have passed in TE. This will give you the best odds of matching a passer's data and will ensure that the passers isn't left unmarked by accident. And at the end of the program year, when CDE conducts their data match, they'll verify those outcomes and confirm those number of passers. But always be prepared if you're using this tip that your totals may be a little lower than you reported.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicole, for that update. My name is Tanya Haug. I'm the Vice President for the HiSET program. I'm going to provide just an overview of some updates on the HiSET program. So as we know, change is never easy, but it's always possible. It's a great quote by former President Barack Obama. What I will be providing today is information about the Test Center Support Contact Form and reminders about using HiSET website resources that we have posted. Since we have fully transitioned from ETS over to PSI, starting on October 3rd, 2022, that was the first day tests were given in the new HiSET PSI portal. Now that it's in the new portal, students must register with PSI using their same name and email that they used on their former ETS account. This will initiate their account in the PSI system. Students' accounts will be merged between ETS and PSI if they follow those instructions, and will be able to see their historical data and their new PSI account. A helpful tip for students is instructing them to use that same email address as they used in their ETS account and to select forgot password. If students have problems with their old account not merging with their new account, please advise them to contact HiSET Test Taker Services by the email address that is in the note-taking guide and on our website. So just a reminder about our HiSET Test Center support. So if you are a test center staff should be using the HiSET Test Center support contact form, which is available on the Zendesk website. A link can be found in the note-taking guide. When you are using that form, you do want to use the program dropdown to choose HiSET California. Also choose your position. So if you are a test center administrator or if you're a proctor, use the role that is most applicable to your position for HiSET Test Center staff. You'll also need to choose your area of need, so the topic of your inquiry. This will automatically route your request to the appropriate person in the HiSET support staff. Response time to requests using this form are usually within 48 hours or sooner if it's an emergency. This form consolidates the different test center support areas at PSI into one place for you. If you do have an emergency or you need technical assistance during a test administration, please contact the test center help desk support at the number that's provided not only in the note-taking guide, but also in our website and in the HiSET program manual. We do provide a screenshot of the form in the note-taking guide for your assistance. So we continue to have some really helpful HiSET website resources on our website. Available resources there include computer-based testing instructions and also paper-based testing instructions. It's really important for you not to forget to use those resources that are there. They are on the main HiSET website. Link to that is provided in the note-taking guide. And those are the most up-to-date instructions for you. Test center staff should use the Test Center resources webpage to access that most up-to-date documentation. And we do provide a screenshot in the note-taking guide for you. As with change, we have been finding that there are some challenges that we've had, and I know that they're very frustrating, but we are working through them. This includes delayed HiSET scores and credentials. These are due to missing or inaccurate information on the paper-based test forms, including test form IDs or appointment numbers that might not be correct. It basically interrupts the scoring process on our side. So we do still have a few answer sheets that are delayed due to those missing or inaccurate test form IDs or coding. We are working through the last several dozen that are still outstanding. We are reaching out to test centers to identify the correct form or the appointment information. Once we have the correct information to score these, our team does process the scores and sends the score data to Parchment for credentialing. That's the missing piece, right? So any missing or inaccurate coding can delay scoring and reporting for 8 weeks or more. So it's really important to follow those instructions that are provided in your program manual or on the HiSET website. If you have any questions about the process to find and document the correct paper-based form coding, please refer to the handout which details where to find the accurate coding information, and that's available on our website. A direct link to that flyer is available in the note-taking guide. The good news is that test centers who administer paper-based tests will soon be able to see the assigned form number on your roster 48 hours in advance of the test appointment. That's actually much earlier than what you're able to see now if you are a test center and you're looking for that information. So that is coming really soon. And I will go ahead and hand this back over to the team for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Tanya. So the HiSET and proficiency, or excuse me, the high school equivalency and proficiency webinar series. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. And so Session 3, if you're not already registered, that is will be happening on May 3rd, 2023. And registration is available on the high school equivalency webinar registration in your note-taking guide, and also the session 1 that we had in November, the posting of the video and the accompanying note-taking guide is available on our website. And this session will be posted by March. And so hopefully you will register to join us for the May webinar. And if you weren't able to attend the session 1, that you would check that out. And hopefully we have those links in the note-taking guide, and hopefully you'll learn some new information. So we here at the CDE will be anticipate taking the proposed regulation changes to the State Board of Education this July 2023. We're taking proposed changes for the equivalency and the proficiency programs. So for the proficiency, the CHSP, we're going to be taking both emergency and permanent regulations. The emergency regulations become effective within roughly 10 days of being adopted by the board. So that's why we are doing emergency for the proficiency, and we're also taking the permanent regulations for the high school equivalency. So these next slides will tell you just a little bit about what we're changing. Basically, the proficiency proposed regulation changes would be mainly changing the definition of what are considered the examinations, because they will be changing coming up here in the fall. And then also the meaning for competency, and also eligibility, and the definition of fee, just to provide some clarification there with the proficiency. Now, on the equivalency proposed regulation changes, we're going to be deleting some of the eligibility restrictions. It seems that the addition, there was no clear definition of identification and residency, what's required or what's accepted for appropriate identification and residency requirements. So we're going to be adding those as well, and then also changing the definition of fee just to be more clear about that. So I really appreciate that. We all appreciate you spending your time to review this video. And like I said, we appreciate your time and we appreciate your feedback. And so if you haven't already, remember to sign up for or register for the May 3rd next webinar, and we hope to see you there. Have a great rest of your day.